Stories People team. And without any delay, let's welcome April for the amazing session today. So, as a short brief of April and why she is here today with us, April is she works in Youth Go Lab, and she handles the social media uh, marketing and branding of Youth Go Lab. And she has successfully done this job for quite a long time now. And we are here to learn from her how we can also do successful social media marketing, grow our followers, and if especially we want to start our own enterprise or we have something of our own which we want to reach out to people to. So, of course, today's session is definitely for us. So thank you, April, for giving us your valuable time, and we are very excited to have you. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Tansy. I'm really excited to be here today. And yeah, I've heard a lot about Starius, so I'm really everybody else. I'm not sure if I can see everybody in this room at the moment, but just a shout out to Starius, and yeah, I'm really excited, and I can see two other people putting on their video. Would be really cool if everybody else can turn on their camera as well, so we can feel like we're talking to each other. So I'll give you some time to get dressed. I just put on some lipstick before joining this call just to look a little bit more put together. Yeah, and hi Emily. Thank you for putting on your camera. I can see you at a mall. Yeah, so just a little bit a background of what we are going to be talking about today, a little bit of some agenda just to let you know what you'll be expecting today. So as I knew a little bit that a lot of you are interns working with Storius, so I'm trying to make the content and the slides a bit more personal and more focused on an individual level. So what we're going to be talking about today is more about social media one-on-one, 101, and also one-on-one. Yes, yes, and just want to introduce you to my plant in the background here. Of course, it's my baby. I haven't given it a name yet, but it's my background and in my company for today. So, anyways, without further ado, let me share you my screen. Ooh, I see desktop. Okay. Hmm. Sorry, I'm trying to put my slides up here. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so this one is the correct one. Okay, awesome. Yes, everybody can see my full screen? Yes, okay, awesome. So before we start, as I mentioned, the topic today is social media one-on-one. The subtitle, as I'm already setting the mood, that it's going to be very personal, very informal. Just think it like you're talking to your friend about the social media. I'm here to be your friend. Yes, so the the subtitle is I thought about it very quickly. Don't tell me what to like, because I'm people post on social media. The intention is always they want you to like their post. So yeah. Before we start on the next slide, I have a very fun and a quick question here on this slide. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I can read it out loud. So I want everybody to answer this question in the chat box below. So the question is, would you rather live in times when social media didn't exist or now? Oh, I cannot see the chat. Oh, okay, I can see the chat box now. Now, now, not now. When it didn't exist. Thank you, Dennis Rodman, and thank you, Hermes. Not now, now, now. Right, now. Wow, everybody answered very quickly when it didn't exist. So I think the majority of the people in this room today all mostly agreed that they want to exist in the current time when social media is everywhere. So I I don't know like call on anyone, but I would want to hear from some of you who picked that you want to exist when social media isn't around. So either there's only three people, so either Hermes, Dennis Rodman, or Yoon. I'll call you by your last name. Either one of you, if you can turn on your mic and tell us why you want to exist when social media isn't around. Now it's your chance.
Yeah, I can kind of talk about what I think. So basically, I think there are benefits that come with social media, but I do think like the mental problems or like kind of like what teenagers face, like they feel insecure about themselves when they see like other people's posts. I think that's also something we should take into consideration. And like even if social media didn't exist, we still have the ability to communicate through like emails and telephones too. So yeah.
Great. I think that's a really fair answer. And I think a lot of people do see the flaws in social media as well. And also, I think Hermes mentioned something very similar because I think people spend too much time on the internet, but not truly bonding. Yeah, I really agree with this one as well. You know, for example, on Facebook, how many friends do you have? Like, I have 2,000 friends, but I only met maybe 100 of them. But the rest of them are like, who are they? I don't know. And you keep getting these random ads from people who you call friends. Friends. Yeah, so I think it's a really interesting question to start our session today. And I'm sure that everybody, you know, either way, if you answered yes or no, everybody still has um, a social media account. Okay, a new answer from Dennis Rodman. Although there are benefits of it, I think the control of information flow is something that needs to be focused on. A lot of information overload inducing stress amongst people. By the way, loving the nail Sam. Thank you. Shout out to my nails. Sorry, before we go to the nails, I think that's a really great answer. Thank you, Dennis. And I love your name. Thank you. And yeah, I think that it's a lot of people are concerned about this as well. And towards the end of our presentation today, I want to show you a very quick video that also mentions some of these um, taboos around social media as well. Great. So thank you everybody to who answered and shared your answer. Thank you, Yoon, for volunteering to um, say your answer on camera. So let's start our our presentation. Ooh, it's pixelated. Okay, so just use your imagination. The photo on the left is supposed to be my face, but you can see my face here on the camera instead. So thank you, Tansy, for the great introduction. Just a little bit about myself. Who am I? So my handle on Instagram is not a saint, not yet a sinner. So I wanted to introduce myself this way just to kind of you know, showcase how you can represent yourself on social media, right? So before you see my handle or even look me up on Instagram, uh, thank you to Tansy for such a great introduction. And you already know me, but you already have like a different perspective of like who I am as a person. But then I think when I have this username on Instagram, I was really a little bit shy or ashamed of my username because I feel like it was a username I used when I was in university. So it's like really represents my younger days. So, you know, not a saint, not yet a sinner. And honestly, I chose this handle just because I think um, it's catchy. And I could imagine that one day it could maybe be like a streetwear brand. And I just want to hold on to this handle and maybe one day I can sell it off to somebody. So until now, I still kept this handle. Yeah, but you can call me April. No need to call me a very long name for my handle. And a little bit about myself, as Tanji mentioned earlier, I work with Youth Collab. It's a initiative by UNDP in Asia Pacific. We work with young social entrepreneurs in the region. And over here, I just wanted to just share a little bit about some kinds of contents that we produce in terms of communication in our project. So some of the contents we produce are blogs, videos, and social media campaigns. And what we do is we amplify the stories of our young social entrepreneurs and also showcase some of the statistics that surround young people in the region as well. So as you can see, I'm not sure if you follow us or not, but I think our content are a little bit different than your typical accounts that you would automatically follow or already are following, because I think our content is very straightforward, where we want to advocate and amplify for a specific social cause, because as you know, we are part of UNDP, so our content is more towards like, how can we build a better world for people? So this is just a very good example that I wanted to mention and bring up today before we go in, because we are going to talk a little bit about content and how you're shaping your social media accounts as well. So don't forget to go visit us on either on the website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. If you have all of them, please give us a like. That would be really really appreciate that. So enough about that. Here's just a little bit of a recap of our journey as Youth Collab through communication platforms from 2018 to 2020. So this might be helpful for some of you who are working in social media with Starius or are interested in doing social media work in the future. But part of our work, other than putting out content and showcasing all these successful stories of our community, what is really important is that we are able to capture the impact and do some monitoring as well. And this is something that a lot of people in different organizations, even private sectors, would have to do. So, for example, tracking the numbers of your followers, the numbers of your site visits, and the advocates. So, this advocates over here means like the numbers of our community online. And over here, it's the numbers of our total exposure for the past 2 years, which is at 33 million impressions. Facebook engagement is very close to 900,000. So what do I mean by engagement? This includes numbers of likes, shares, and comments. And on Twitter, our engagement is at around 22,000 for the past. Actually, for Twitter, we only just started around not so long ago. So we're still building on that. And the reason, just a very interesting fact about why it's really important to have a Twitter account as UNDP or working in an NGO or a very similar factor, is because a lot of our stakeholders, government officials, or all of our audience, like in the upstream, if you look at it that way, in the upstream, that is one of the social media that they used the most. So, for example, if you think of world leaders, you think Barack Obama, you think about Donald Trump, and every time, especially Donald Trump, I think he's very infamous for his Twitter tweets and all these ideas and everything that he sends out. So this is a very good example of where to find the people you want to talk to or you want to share your content on that platform. So world leaders, UNDP officials, UN officials, they have their own personal Twitter handles, and it's something that is seen to be a bit more professional. But as a young person, especially living in Thailand, I think Twitter actually looks to be more like a very informal platform where young people would just tweet about random thoughts, about anything that's happening in their lives. Especially, I'm not sure if you're into like K-pop or K-drama, but a lot of my friends who are like into um, these boy bands or girl groups, they follow their trends and they tweet about them a lot on Twitter. So it's really exciting to see It's really exciting to see a lot of people, having different opinions and different views on the same platform. Yeah. So that's a very quick recap of our overview and our social media on Youth Collab. So next, it's just a very quick, I need to get used to how to click this thing. Right, so next, after our introduction, I have a very fun pop quiz for you for social media. So what I want you to do is just quickly answer straight away in the chat box below, and I'll be asking you some questions. So question number one, I want you to guess how many active social media users are there in this world. I'll just give you a couple of seconds until I see a couple of messages. So there's a lot of people in the world. I forgot what's the world's statistics. What's the latest one? Is it like 200 billion? I'm not sure. Yes, but out of that, how many do you think are on social media? Okay, I see that we have the first couple of answers. Sorry. So it's just a blind guess. Just make a guess how many users are there online. Okay. So Liang Sheng says 3 million and a bunch of question marks. I feel like it's really difficult to pronounce everybody's name. So sorry in advance if I mispronounce your name. We have 4.5 billion, 4 billion. Angel says 2 billion, 2 billion, and a bunch of zeros that I can't count. 3.5 billion, 1 billion. So the correct answer is drum roll. It would be awesome if you had like some drum effects. The correct answer is actually 3.73 billion active users online across the world. So the important part over here is to focus on the active social media users, right? And I think everybody would understand that a lot of people may have a lot of different social media, but they might not be active. Yes, wow, that's almost half of the 7 billion world population. Thanks, Nika. So it's 7 billion. Good to know. I thought it was 2. I don't know why. Yeah, so that's question number 1. So it's a lot of people are online and they are all active. So this is a very interesting fact that social media has really become the norm and really become part of our daily lives. Question number 2. On average, how many social media accounts do people own? Just have a think about it. How many social media accounts do you own? Do you have a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn? That's myself. I have, what else do I have? I have Pinterest, I have Tumblr, I have a YouTube account, I have the Spotify account. No, that's like already 7. Wow, so a lot of people are saying 3, 12. Wow, Angel Thomas, what do you have? Why do you have 12 accounts? If you have time, can you list them down? Like, what are those 12 accounts? Do you have like Quora, Reddit? What else? I can't think. That's a lot. That's 12. That's your challenge. I want you to write down what are the 12 social media accounts that you have. Linka has 6. Wow, Linka. 4 multiple accounts, same platform maybe. Thanks. So the answer on average, how many accounts do people own, is 7.6 accounts. Wow, so a lot of people have so many social media accounts. At first, when I saw this stat, I was really surprised too, because I would, on default, I would think I have 3, which is Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. But then when I actually count, I actually have LinkedIn, I have a Pinterest, I have Tumblr, so that's already 6. So those are actually the ones that I really use. So yeah, and different platforms have different purposes, different objectives, and we will talk about that a bit later on as well. Third question, the average daily time spent on social media is, how many hours do you spend on social media? So I think for my fellow Apple users, you will have like this weekly, what do you call it? Weekly results, or just like a tracker of how many hours you use per day. So what was your usage last week? I will tell you mine very soon. 8 hours, 3 hours. Wow, Vivian, 3 hours. That's a really good number. 7 hours, 3 hours. Wow. 8 hours. 8 hours screen time, show me. That's a lot, show me. 8 hours is like, the amount of time people sleep per day. 8 hours, wow. 7 hours from Emily, 3 hours. Oh yes, my work is on screen, same here. Right, so the average answer, the average time that people use is 142 minutes per day. So that is about 4 hours, right?
2
Oh wait,
hours.
3 hours. Yes, Linka, that's the correct answer. Wait, I was thinking, I'm like, what's, yes, 2 hours. Thank you, that was a test. I'm really good at math. That was a test. So that's the average around almost 3 hours, let's say that. So actually, I think my iPhone actually told me my daily use of social media is actually at 11 hours per day. Yes, 11 hours. Not a very proud number, but I work in social media, as mentioned. So I am on my phone literally every time of the day. The only time I don't use my phone would probably be when I wake up. So yeah, those are really interesting questions. And right now, I just want everybody just to give a very quick review of, I want to get to know you guys before we move on to the next session. So we already talked a little bit about different platforms, different uses, some stats. So the first questions I want you to answer is, what is your go-to platform online? Is it Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or anything else? What is your go-to platform? Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Instagram. Yay. I'm really happy that most of the answers are Instagram. YouTube, great. Instagram, Insta. Only a few people, I think, answered Facebook, right? Let me see. Okay, only one person mentioned Facebook and one person mentioned Twitter. Okay, thanks. Thank you, everybody. So a lot of you are using Instagram a lot. And number two, what is the last public account you followed or subscribed? Hmm. The last public account I followed is Emily's cat. Yes, Cheyenne. He's so cute. I met him yesterday for the first time. Emily, the last person you followed is Show Me. Awesome. What about other people? I love this promo at Cheyenne the Siamese. He's really adorable. I tried to speak French to him yesterday. Bloomberg. What about Linka? Linka, what is the last account you followed? Do you remember? Starius app. Awesome. Good job.
The last account I follow was Mushroom. So he is like a sound engineer from Stories. So he's the one that provide the clip in the latest Stories post.
Ah, that's really cool. Can you leave us a handle and maybe we can go support him?
Yes. So when he wake up, because he lives in Canada, and today when he wakes up, he will see like at least 15 new followers.
Awesome. I love it. Ooh, James Charles. Yes, I follow him. But I don't really see him a lot. Collins, something Canvas, a sign from Canvas. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And last question before we move on. What is the last thing you saw on any social media account? What was the last thing you saw? Do you remember? What was the last post you saw? Yes, thank you, Aramis. You forgot. Thank you for being honest. Do you remember what was the last thing you saw? You posted Cara Dialogue. Yay, Cara Dialogue. Friends on Netflix. What about social media? Show me. What about social media? What was the last post that you saw? A post by Unite 2030, Camera Dialogue, I think. Awesome. Great. So I really loved how a friend's birthday football videos. Yeah, so I think it's really interesting where I feel like when it comes to the third question and when I ask what is the last thing you saw, I feel like a lot of people aren't sure what it is because when you think about it, in one day, what we see a lot of things, right? Not just on social media, but on your phone screen, your text with your friend, and everything. So I think what really brings out of this question is that how can we really, measure the engagement on social media when people like, people comment, but then after a couple of minutes, you don't really remember what you just liked after you just, go on a stroll of before bed. I would just scroll for maybe half an hour or an hour, and I would just like a lot of things. So I could not really answer this question. What is really the last thing I saw on social media? So yeah, that's a really fun and quick ice breaking, and also really great to get to know everybody more. And I'm really, really relieved and happy that a lot of you answered that Instagram is your go-to account, because that is what I prepared for you. Yay! Thank you, Linka. Oh, okay, right. So before we go there, I just want to talk about very quickly about each platform's unique features. So Facebook, what's so great about Facebook? So on Facebook, you can post longer messages, you can tag people, you can add photos, videos, and I think the main feature that makes in Facebook's that it stood out more from other platforms is their likes and reactions, where you have a little bit of different emotions that you can provide. And other than that, you also have interactive features, for example, polls. And last but not least, what is really massive and very big for for Facebook, sorry, is I think their ads. Because personally, I shoot ads for different social media accounts. And so far, I would say Facebook is the most successful one when it comes to ads and using that feature, because they're very advanced compared to other platforms, and you can be very specific about it. So if you one day want to become an entrepreneur, want to start a business, and you want to do an advertisement on something, definitely you should go for Facebook, because at least you can ensure that the money that you're investing on this platform can definitely return. You will have like a measurement, you will have a return on investment. So Facebook is something that is really outstanding when it comes to these specific features. And I have a lot of friends who work in this advertising agencies in Thailand, right? And what is really popular and actually a very huge role in the company in terms of marketing is being able to run campaigns and run ad campaigns on Facebook. It might seem easy, but actually it's very complicated, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of analysis to do that very efficiently. So some companies would hire a lot of these agency companies to run the ads for them specifically. So that is a very fun fact that I want to share when it comes to Facebook. So next we have Twitter. So what made Twitter such a success nowadays is their hashtag, right? I know that a lot of other platforms they have hashtags too, but when it comes to Twitter, when you want to search something, or if you want to be on trend, and if you want to, talk about the conversation that people are talking about, you follow the hashtag. And I've also joined a lot of workshops with Twitter as well. And they've talked about their hashtag and how it really shaped the way the company has really developed these past years as well. Another thing about Twitter is that their messages are really, really short. It's around, I think, don't remember, around 200, a little bit more than 200 characters now. At first, they started around 140 or 160, I believe, back in the early days. Yes, Twitter started hashtags. Yes. And but the reason that I think they kept their messages really short is because they wanted to keep it at a very short length, where you can just tweet something that people just can read very quickly. Because I think not a lot of people nowadays like to read really long messages. And I think that is a flaw for example, Facebook, where people write really long messages. So it's good that it's short and digestible. And for Twitter, I think it's really popular when it comes to latest news, especially when it comes to um, something that's happening on the ground, that you will actually find out about what's happening on Twitter before you can find out on TV or from the news itself. So I don't want to get too political, but recently in Thailand we have some political movements, but a lot of young people who are part of it, they find out the latest updates and the news through hashtag from Twitter. So because it's very fast and it's very personal, everybody can tweet and update the messages right away. You don't need to wait in line before you see an announcement on TV or from an official news agency. So that is what has made Twitter really successful, especially in these past several years when there's a lot of social movements. Yes. Moving on next, we have Instagram. So I think what made Instagram even stood out more is than it is already, because Instagram is very famous for its images, using visuals. But I think when they introduced the story feature, it just really blew up, and a lot of people actually abandoned a very similar app, Snapchat. I'm sure most of you have heard about it. Some people still use Snapchat in the West, I think, but I think for me personally, in my experience, once Instagram had this feature, my friends or myself or people at least around me just completely stopped using Snapchat. So I think that really just kind of gave an extra push on Instagram. And other than that, building off from the story feature, a lot of people, when they want to spread news or spread some messages nowadays, they would just instantly repost images or videos from other accounts on their Instagram stories. Other than that, as I mentioned, the photo tells the story. And nowadays, I see a lot of, very similar to Twitter, there's a lot of social movements. And Instagram has become this platform where a lot of people use it to spread awareness and to spread some facts about some issues that people are not aware about. For example, the Black Lives Movement, I think there's a lot of accounts on Instagram where they would make, like these cards, and you can just slide and just read about the updates or about the facts and educate yourself on different matters. So that actually really pushed Instagram from, like the norm of it being a little bit, what's the word? Artificial, about looks, about capitalism, about beauties and those things. But I think a lot of people nowadays try to use Instagram more to share positive messages or educate people about different facts. So those are some key, interesting, unique features on the three social medias. And now I just want to talk a little bit about websites, because I think a lot of people, ah, that's really interesting. So younger siblings, Angel Thomas. Where are you from, Angel? Can you leave it in your chat box? Because I'm sure that a lot of people still use Snapchat, but I think I still have a lot of friends in the West who uses Snapchat as well. But yeah, that's good to know. Thank you. Yes, so back to here. So I just wanted to mention a little bit about websites, right? Because now everybody just focus a lot on social media. But does that mean that it's the end of a website? Why do I need to have a website and spend money, to buy a domain and these things when I can already use social media for free? So here are some unique features when it comes to having a website, right? So it has an upper hand in internet searches. So a lot of people, when they want to do business and they want to research something, they would have to use a laptop and search online. And usually you can have this thing called an SEO where you can tailor these searches and make sure that your website or your products would show on the first few pages on Google or on any search engines. Other than that, what's really great, still great about websites is that it offers complete control. So instead of tailoring your content to fit the social media, what you can do with a website is that you have a complete control of how you want it to look like, how you want to organize things around your website. You can have a video, you can have a blog, you can have everything on your website because you are the one who controls it. And other than that, it has a sense of, reputation and adds more atmosphere when it comes to professionalism, because, sometimes when people, I feel like it's just something where you feel like it represents more better when it comes to like an organization, when you have a website address and you share that with people instead of sharing your social media handles. Oh, we see that there's a lot of um, chat messages. Let me read it out. Linka says, I feel like Snapchat is popular in Bangladesh. Tanji says, I still use Snapchat regularly. Yeah, LinkedIn has event page like in Facebook as well. In Hong Kong, same for me, but it usually is more for streaks. Yeah, I've heard about that as well. So yeah, and I think what's really interesting is I also want to mention a little bit more about when it comes to stories in the next couple of slides as well. So let's keep that for later. Right, so this is one of the reasons why I said I am so relieved that everybody uses Instagram, because that is what I wanted to focus on today, because I know that we have a very limited time today. So this would just really comes from my own personal experience, because it won't be very specific when it comes to using it as an organization, because I have the sense that everybody would be more usable and applicable when it comes to like an individual level, rather than talking about it in terms of UNDP or Youth Collab. But if you want to ask something more specific when it comes to organization, just let me know in the chat box as well. Yes, so Instagram 101. So why is Instagram one of the most successful social media of 2020? So I think, as I mentioned earlier, right, so it comes to a lot of these different factors. So I will talk about it later on in the next slide. So this is just an overview about what we're going to tackle in terms of Instagram today. Second point is, as an individual, how can I up my IG game? So I will be sharing some tips and some of the personal experiences that I have when it comes to Instagram. And last thing that we will touch on today is what is next for Instagram, right? So, okay. I'm so glad the pictures here isn't pixelated anymore. Right. So why is Instagram one of the most successful social media? So I think a lot of people agree that when it comes to visuals and, these things, a lot of people really prefer it when they see, beautiful pictures or beautiful infographics, and they would like them instantly on Instagram, and they can share it with their friends. And nowadays, I feel like a lot of people have really, it might be personal as well. I think different countries, different areas, they have different trends. So it won't be like a complete answer for everybody. But for example, when I first used Instagram back in maybe 2009 or 2010, which is like 10 years ago already. Wow, is it that late? I'm not sure. Yes, maybe 2011 or 12, I'm not sure, but still, that's a really long time ago. But Instagram was really limited. You just post a photo, you use a filter, you post about your everyday life. But nowadays you have like this huge industry where people are getting endorsed. We have people are building careers around Instagram. People are becoming influencers. They post content where they have brands, paying them to post a photo with their products, or having these ads or these codes for discounts. So it's just not just a social media anymore where you just post photos or like it. It's a whole community where people build careers around it. Other than building careers, I think a lot of people do use Instagram. At least for Thailand, a lot of people use Instagram to build their business and to promote them and to try to find new customers, because I think a lot of people use Instagram because they get to, really showcase their products and make and beautify it. And when you look at it, so the examples of the photos on the right here is how a lot of people and a lot of content creators, they would intentionally design their Instagram feed to make it look almost like a portfolio or a catalog, or just like a menu, or even just a story, anything like that. So everything that goes out on Instagram is well planned and is already planned ahead. So actually, some people that I know, or so I actually used it before, where I would actually line up different photos that I would want to post on Instagram through another app and actually have it linked to my Instagram where I can see that would this photo look nice next to the photo I posted, like last week or last month, and would that actually flow with the entire content? So this is, behind the idea of how you want to build your own content and how you want to showcase your brand, yourself, or your business. So this is one of the reasons why Instagram has become really successful. And another thing is, I think they really connected with the messenger feature as well. That is something quite recent. So I actually personally stopped using different platforms. Like I stopped using WhatsApp, I stopped using Line a lot, and I would just text my friend on Instagram. And I usually just send, photos of like a post or an account or even memes to people on Messenger. So I feel like having the story feature, having, a live feature, having a messenger on their app, really just, they're really trying to include everything possible into their platform. And I think a lot of people have been really moving towards their platform even more and more every day. So I think that it's one of the reasons personally that I think that it's still one of the most successful and the most popular social medias at our time. Other than that, so when it comes to an individual level, how can I up my IG game? So I think this is took a lot of trials and errors and just learning from different people that I see. So how do I measure, up my Instagram game, right? So this might come just because, for example, how can you gain new followers? How can you have more likes on your photos? So this really comes in like um, different types of things that you would post, right? For example, personally, for me, when I post something on Instagram, and just to ensure that I want people to like it, I would post it around 7 p.m. Bangkok time till 7:30 p.m. Bangkok time. And this came from just an insight from some of my friends who work with the media agencies, that this is like the prime time and it's the time that most people would be active online, and that when you post this, people would see it more and you will get more likes. So that is something that I personally try to do, where I try to post around the time that I think people would be more active online. But this is just an experiment, right? So I have my times where I want to post this now in the morning. But I actually see the results that when I post, around different times, or even midnight or past midnight, or if I post early in the morning, I tend to get less likes. And this is something that I also adapt to Youth Collab account as well, where we try to post content around time that we think our users are active. So for example, you will actually have that insight in Instagram or on Facebook, where you will see that when is the time that most of your users would be online. So on a personal level, or even a corporate or organizational level, posting at the right time is proves to be very useful when it comes to the numbers of engagements or like. Other than that, how can you gain followers on a new platform? So that actually requires different things. So for example, when I first started Youth Collab Instagram account, we had very low followers. We started from 200 likes, 200 followers, and it took a really long time until we could reach a larger audience. So what I would do in my free time is I would just like a lot of people's post on Instagram. I would go to like the explore button and I would try to comment and leave a comment on relevant pages that is similar to what we do in Youth Collab. And other than that, we then get more exposure through those sections, and using hashtag and using the location tags or reposting people on the stories. So just trying to increase your exposure to other channels and making sure that people can see you other than you trying to just push out contents. I think that is something that really helps. Helps reach more people and also new audiences. So we already touched upon timing, right? And also trying to reach out to larger audiences and trying to make yourself seen. So those are the two things. But most importantly, what you can never forget about social media is that your content has to be good. How can you ensure that what you're creating is something that people want to see? So something when it comes to creating a content, even when it comes to content, or it just becomes on how you represent that content visually, I would always ask myself, if I see this very quickly, you just have 1 second or maybe half a second to slide through this, would I stop and double tap on it? It's just a very simple question. If you think you would want to like it, other people may want to like it as well. So having this clear idea of who is your audience, who are you trying to target, does the type of message, the caption that you're writing, the photos you're using, the way that you're designing it, is it appropriate, or would it attract the person or the people that you want to attract, right? So those are some of the very basic questions that you can ask yourself before you want to create any content. And this also applies to a personal level or even organizational level as well. So for example, if you look at, I have some examples of people on the right here. So over here, you can see how this influencer has organized her Instagram account and have it a theme where she would post, for example, dark white. And when it comes to a tile, it just looks organized and clean. Personally, I follow a lot of people who have very clean templates on social media. It's just very satisfactory, it's satisfying. I don't have a personal reason for that, but I just really appreciate it when I follow somebody and I really see like beautiful contents and different types of contents as well. Other than this, my last comment is, be a good user, right? So if you're a good user, you post on appropriate time, you create great content, you expose yourself to other people, you interact with other accounts. So there's no hack to Instagram's algorithm, but I think a lot of people believe that, for example, if it's your birthday, I think when it comes to a personal level, if you say it's your birthday on Instagram, a lot of people would leave a comment on under your post, right? So a lot of people sometimes would just like it, or sometimes they would leave it a couple of days and then they would go back and respond later. But according to Instagram, when I looked into it, they said they don't have a fixed algorithm to their platform. It's automatic or for whatever reason. But some people in the industry have shared that if there is a comment in your post, the first thing you need to do is you need to respond right away. It's better to respond right away rather than wait for a couple of minutes or a couple of hours or a couple of days until you respond. In that way, when Instagram's algorithm feels like this post itself has a lot of different and a lot of new engagement adding onto it, it will somehow push your post to be on the top of people's feed. Because the thing is, what Instagram used to do is they would show people's feed in the chronological order, right? So if this user posts on this time, it would go down and something like that. But right now, they don't really show people's feed in like a timely order anymore. It is now mostly based on engagement. That is what they claim. So trying to, push your engagement and trying to be a bit more active. So that's why I said being a good user, according to Instagram, would really make your content seen by more accounts. So this is just a really quick capture about some of my thoughts and personal experience when it comes to Instagram. So if you have any questions, let me know, and you can type it in the chat box as well before we move on to the next slide. So over here, so I already told you about, the different types of contents and different kinds of people who are on Instagram. So my question to you is, I wanted to know, what kind of content do you follow on Instagram? And who are some influencers you follow? So influence here, I just want to clarify. So I just want to talk about, when you think about Instagram, you think about a huge industry of influencers. So no need to mention, celebrities or anybody, but anybody that you follow and you think that you really like their content, you can leave that in the chat box below. Am I getting too dark? The sun is like setting here, so I can't really, can you still see me? Okay, still bright. I actually forgot to look at the time. Like, am I on time?
We are 7 minutes to 6 p.m.
Awesome.
Great.
Okay, let me read out some of the chat box answers. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Feminist content, activism related people, art, news, literature, tattoo, dance, travel related accounts. Yes, travel related accounts because we're Starius. Memes and The Rock. Yes, I follow a lot of memes as well. So the reasons I asked you this is just because I just wanted to show a couple of examples that I think are great accounts that I follow. And I just want to show the different types of accounts that it's just personal preference of myself. Can you still see my screen? Awesome. So for example, I think this is an influencer that I follow. And what's really interesting about her is that she advocates for body positivity. She is an entrepreneur. She also is a broadcaster. She has her own podcast, and she also is a TV host. So I think what I get from her is that I get very different lifestyle content. So she's also a designer. So I get like a lot of my design inspiration from her. So she does a lot of these gradients, and I've been implementing a lot of gradients in Youth Collab accounts, as you can see. And a fun fact that I wanted to mention is she's an entrepreneur, and what she sells is these card games. So I actually started our session by using one of her cards, as you can see over here. So that's how I'm like connecting it back to her. Yeah. So this is an example of why I follow her, because I think that she offers me beyond just one thing, right? So it's something that I really love her content, and it's just so clear, what I would expect from her colors, her designs, her palettes. So that's something that I follow personally. Another account that I follow just to get myself some updates is this account. So what this account does is it's very political, and it talks about different social issues. And they would do a daily, can I be swear here? Daily no BS news roundup for each day. And they would actually do these things where they would talk about different things that's happening around the world. So for example, if I click on the latest one that we see over here, you'll just like get a very quick roundup of what's happening. So that is something that I think it's really necessary to consume. Another account, this one is something that I think it's one of the most recent accounts that I follow personally. It's this account called Feminist. So if you are a fellow feminist, please go give them a like. They actually educate a lot of people about different issues when it comes to gender equality. And at the same time, it's not too heavy. It's very lighthearted. There's a hint of some humor in it as well. That's one of the reasons I really like this account. So you can go check it out later as well. Last but not least, something when it comes to lifestyle. So as you can see, I am a new plant mom. I follow this plant, and also one of the least most recent plant accounts that I follow. So what is interesting about this person is that they also talk about gender diversity, and at the same time I get a lot of contents when it comes to plants, and their content is also very interesting and very entertaining. So they would also to sing and carry the plants, and I feel really inspired to do something that is very similar as well. So these are some contents that I think are really great examples for you to think, and just to ask yourself, like, you can check your accounts after this, and what kind of content and I'm putting out to people, what kind of brand, what is my brand. So those are something that you need to ask yourself personally or in a corporate as well. Always relevant. Yes, so after that I just wanted to mention a couple of last things about what is so what's new on social media this week? Stories. So this title comes from Twitter. If you use Twitter, sorry to break this news to you, but Twitter now has stories, and a lot of people hate it. So that's just a summary about Twitter today, is that they now have stories and they call them fleets. And the reason why they have this is because they want, a similar story and where it's just available for 24 hours and something that is not too permanent. So you can see the trends here, right? So I think last week LinkedIn actually introduced stories as well. So actually right now all of the main social media accounts have stories. So I think that really tells a lot about how people actually consume stories more. So for example, a good example is my personal Instagram post. The most like I've had would be at around 160 likes, right? That would be the likes that I have on a single post on Instagram. But I found that there are more people who would watch my stories more than liking my post. So my average view on Instagram story is actually about 250 per day. And oh, I forgot to mention, and there's different ways of trying to increase that as well. So I think that really proves that story has become something that people prefer over post. And you think that post, people see it for 1 second already, but when it comes to stories, people just even digest it even quicker than post. So that really tells a lot about the way we consume things nowadays, right? Second thing that I want to mention is, where's my like button? So for my fellow Instagram people here, I'm not sure if it's updated in your country yet, but bad news for everybody. Our heart button, our notification button is now, ooh, yes, just ignore that page. Our notification button is now gone and it's replaced by a shop button instead, and it's moved up. So instead of going to my activities, like I want to see who liked my post, I automatically clicked it. And what happened is that it's now a shop button. So it's really interesting that Instagram replaced their most famous button with a shop button. So I think there's a lot of debate about that as well. Sorry, that if we had more time, we would discuss about why would they do that, right? And last but not least, I'm sorry, I don't really use Facebook. I think that's a lot of the reaction we get nowadays when people ask for your handles. A lot of people, personally for me, I would rather give them my Instagram account instead, because I'm more active there rather than my Facebook. And this is something that, oh, is Facebook dead to Gen Z? So that's a question for you. How often do you use Facebook? Would you give somebody your Facebook, or would you give them your Snapchat or Instagram instead? So that is something really interesting when it comes to the industry, because as I mentioned, a lot of people use Facebook for their ads, but not a lot of people are using Facebook anymore. So who are seeing your ads, right? So that is something that you need to ask yourself about how you're creating your content, how you're trying to boost it, or something like that. So I think we're 1 minute over time, but before we end today's session, I just want to end on a food for thought kind of note. So I have this video that I would want to share before we go home and grab dinner or enjoy our Saturday night. So okay, so this is a documentary by Netflix called The Social Dilemma. And this goes back to the first questions that I asked you. So I want you to do is I want you to watch this video and ask yourself the same question I asked you again earlier. If you can still exist in a world that has social media, would you, or would you rather not? So I hope my internet is okay.
When you go to Google and type in climate change is, you're going to see different results depending on where you live and the particular things that Google knows about your interests.
That's not by accident, that's a design technique.
What I want people to know is that everything they're doing online is being watched, is being tracked. Every single action you take is carefully monitored and recorded.
A lot of people think Google's just a search box and Facebook's just a place to see what my friends are doing. What they don't realize is there's entire teams of engineers whose job is to use your psychology against you.
I was the co-inventor of the Facebook like button. I was the president of Pinterest,
Google,
Twitter, Instagram.
There were meaningful changes happening around the world because of these platforms. I think we were naive about the flip side of that coin.
You get rewarded by hearts, likes, thumbs up, and we conflate that with value and we conflate it with truth.
A whole generation is more anxious, more depressed.
I always felt like fundamentally it was a force for good. I don't know if I feel that way anymore.
Facebook discovered that they were able to affect real world behavior and emotions without ever triggering the user's awareness. They are completely clueless.
Fake news spreads 6 times faster than true news. We're being bombarded with rumors.
If everyone's entitled to their own facts, there's really no need for people to come together. In fact, there's really no need for people to interact.
We have less control over who we are and what we really believe.
If you want to control the population of your country, there has never been a tool as effective as Facebook.
We built these things and we have a responsibility to change it. The intention could be, how do we make the world better? If technology creates mass chaos, loneliness, more polarization, more election hacking, more inability to focus on the real issues, we're toast. This is checkmate on humanity.
This is not endorsed by Netflix. We are not affiliated with them. This is something I wanted to share. So, because I think that part of what we were talking about today is like all the advantages and the amazingness of social media, right? So I think it's good to always keep that in mind and how, you know, you using social media and what are its pros and cons. So before I leave today, another quote that I would want to share. So there are only 2 industries that refer to their customers as users. One is IT, the other is the illegal drugs trade. So thank you. If you have any questions, please let me know. Peace. Over to you, Linka. Pansy.
Thank you